you still targeting pitching right now, rotation, bullpen? Like, where do you stand with how the roster is right now?
I think we're targeting improvements to the team. Obviously, we're going to Sarasota soon. Very excited about that. Really like where the team is at presently. I think we've got a great team in the American League East this year. It's going to be in the thick of the division title chase, and going to be very competitive, exciting season in a tough division. So we like where we're at, but we still have time on the clock before the off season's over. There are still free agents. The trade market sometimes happens very late. I can't forecast that or handicap it, but there's still those possibilities. And it seems like there hasn't been many trades just in general this off season. So maybe there won't be, but also maybe they're just going to happen late. I don't really know, but we're working right now, and we'll continue to do that. Maybe even past the opening of camp. But historically, we don't sign guys too late into camp. So I guess at least until pitchers and catchers, we're going to be working the off season like we always do.
How do you feel about the starting rotation group you've assembled so far?
I think it's really good. I think that we have a lot of depth, a lot of options. I feel really secure that you always expect some level of injury, but if we don't get anything kind of beyond the norm, I think we have good quality pitching to get us through the season, and we also have youth in the rotation, and some of these guys are very apt to take a step forward. So I like the blend of experience, youth, depth, different types of guys, guys that we can have in the minors. I think we've got a really strong pitching staff in general, the bullpen too, going into the season. But we still have the opportunity to explore additions if we can find them, and we'll be doing that next couple of weeks.
With Morton and Sagano, can they pitch comfortably in a five-man rotation, or do you need to be creative in the rotation with those two guys?
The plan right now is to do five, and they're ready for that. Everyone's ready for that and on board with it. I guess it's like I think I said earlier, as we get into camp, if things start presenting themselves where it makes more sense to do a six, we'll be open to that. It's not a decision that we need to make until really close to opening day, like the last couple of weeks of spring training, I would think. But if you look at our schedule in April and May, there's a lot of off days. So I don't know that it would be sensible to do a six-man if we don't have to. And right now we feel like we don't have to. We'd rather have the extra bullpen
Would
guy.
you consider moving one of your traditional starters to bullpen role?
It's possible. Yeah, right now, I think we have, I think health is going to determine a lot out of camp, but if you just count up all the guys that we project to be healthy right now, it's a pretty full bullpen. So probably won't happen, but there's a lot of unknowns coming up.
Mike, when you're dealing with the trade market, obviously we saw last year you traded Austin Hayes, major leaguer. How comfortable are you with the idea of if a team comes calling about an established major leaguer included in a trade? I mean, how comfortable are you with that option?
I've had those conversations over the winter. Obviously, nothing's happened, but we have those conversations constantly. We have so many conversations about things that never get close or come to fruition, and I just think the fact that we're willing to talk about it means that we'd be willing to do it if the right trade came about. And as you get a more established, more talented major league team like we've had the last couple of years, you get extra players that you can trade, and it's probably a growing possibility in the next few years.
Do you feel like the size of the payroll and how much is expanded this offseason is reflective of a competitive team at the stage of where you're at?
Yeah, I think we've elevated the payroll continuously since the beginning of the rebuild, and we've talked about it all along. And obviously that was before David Rubenstein and his group bought the team, but after they purchased it, it's certainly, like I've said, kind of expanded our options in a great way. And he and his group are really putting my department in a position where we can run the team the way that we feel is optimal. And so we're pursuing that. They've really liberated us to do our jobs. And, the payroll is up right now. But the payroll, like I said, when it was lower, it doesn't really count for anything. It's the wins and losses that we care about. So that's nice, but it's not really something that we talk about a lot or pay a lot of attention to. And I think that we've had the ability this offseason to go out and plug our needs on the roster, and that's a really nice thing. And I credit our owners for making that possible. But I think it's something that we can continue to look forward to.
Mike, a lot of people have been talking about the Dodgers coming off the World Series, spending the way they have this offseason, and I know there's always kind of big spenders every offseason, but does this feel like a particular outlier, the way the Dodgers have spent, the Mets, the Yankees, compared to the FIBA?
Yeah, I'm glad they're in the National League West. They're a great organization. They're obviously kind of at the top of their game right now. Ohtani is once in a century baseball player, and they have him, and they're very well run all around. So hopefully that'll be our problem in the World Series. But kudos to them.
Are there any new injuries or injury updates? Anybody?
Not that I'm ready to, or not to the level that I would get into here. I traditionally kind of forecast anybody who's off on an abnormal schedule when we get down to Sarasota, so I'll probably do that in a couple weeks.
Has the timeline for Jorge Mateo changed at all, or are you still looking for him to be participating in spring activities?
Not really materially. Since I've last spoken about it, he's doing well from his recovery. You'll see him in spring training. He's not going to be 100% citizen of spring training, but he'll be ramping up, and we'll be able to address whether or not he's going to break for exact opening day a little bit later. It's possible, but not ready to sort of make that forecast right now. But he's doing really well. Everyone that's had a surgery, their medical recoveries are going very smoothly, knock on wood.
So are you viewing Dylan Carlson's addition to the roster?
I think he's a very good addition for our depth in the outfield. He's real versatile. He's a switch hitter, and he can play all three outfield positions, and he presents some flexibility to our outfield. So I think we have a very long baseball season. We've got to focus on that, and we're going to need a lot of people to help us get through the season, and I think Dylan's a really high quality addition to the roster in that regard because of the versatility that provides. He's still very young, and he's coming off some injuries the last couple of years that he's got behind him, so hopefully he can have a bounce back. But I think we're even still examining ways to just kind of bolster our outfield mix, and he was a big part of that.
Mike, obviously there were growing pains for some of the rookies last year, be it Kobe, Jackson, Holiday, maybe even Heston a little bit. How do you kind of project them to take that next step of second-year players in the big leagues?
I think we're counting on them to settle in. I mean, these guys are great prospects and great minor league players, and they have great swings. And they just saw Major League Baseball and Major League pitching for the first time on a continual basis, and it's not abnormal, especially now, to see young prospects come up and have the kind of early results that those guys did. But they've been working hard all winter. Some of them are here. They look great. And excuse me,
You can answer it.
I don't even want to see what names on the phone. I'm really hopeful those guys are going to take a step forward and have good seasons, and we're projecting them to be big parts of our team.
How would you categorize your pursuits of Santander and Burns this offseason?
How would I categorize our pursuits?
Aggressive.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't like to tit for tat on negotiations that didn't result in deals, so I don't know that I really want to put out details about it, but we were very active, and we really enjoyed having those players, and ultimately they ended up elsewhere, and we made other moves. But I think just in general, we were and are very aggressive this offseason. We've got a great team. We've got a eager and a very robust new ownership group, and we were out there and we got a lot of deals done, and we're maybe trying to do more.
How much of a priority was giving Brandon the day-to-day and in-game lineup flexibility and bullpen flexibility that you guys kind of lacked in the second half of last year?
Yeah, I mean, we last year in the second half when we had all those injuries, it was really eye-opening what happens when when your depth gets depleted. That was a pretty extreme amount of injuries. I think right now, with the way we're constructed, we feel good about the depth that we put together. Now, anything can happen. We'll see what happens, but I think that he's going to have a lot of options and on both sides of the ball, and that's a good thing.
You signed Gary Sanchez to be the backup. He didn't catch a whole lot last year. Are you envisioning that he's going to have a similar kind of backup role that maybe McCann did? A 65 game look.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a full-blown number 2 catcher. He's also really good hitter for a catcher, especially against left-handed pitching. I imagine we'll see him DHing some games if he's not catching. I expect him to be a huge part of the team.
Like, you guys don't have a lot of money committed beyond this season yet. I mean, is there a concerted effort, I guess, to keep those additional years flexible, just given the number of young guys you have that might need extensions at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly something, doesn't need to be the case, but there's positives to it when you have year-to-year flexibility. But I'm expecting that will evolve and maybe not remain the case. Maybe this time next year we're talking about something different. I don't really know. We just kind of handle opportunities as they come up and do our best to manage the team throughout time. And teams are malleable and they change, and it's just part of the nature of the business. But right now, as we're constituted, we do looks like we have the ability next year to take a fresh look at things and see what our needs are. So if that's the case, that'll be a good thing.
Do you expect Bautista to be a full go to start spring training?
I don't know that he won't be in a spot where it's like any old spring training. He's coming off the surgery. There's going to be a ramp involved that is reflective of the fact that he's coming off of Tommy John. So maybe a different, slower ramp. We're going to be careful with him, and if it needs to be a slow ramp, if he needs extra time, whatever he needs. We're going to be prioritizing that rather than bum rushing him to get him out there. But he's doing very well. Thank you. Thanks, guys.